a great opportunity for us to learn offense, right? Move the ball, pass, cut. We just can't stand and watch anymore.
When Sophie Cunningham first burst onto the scene, she was all grit, fearless on the court, unapologetically bold off it. But lately, something's changed. Her presence, her style, even the way she carries herself. It's all turned heads in a way no one saw coming. She's not just dominating in sneakers, she's commanding attention everywhere she goes. The girl once known for her fiery hustle is now making waves for an entirely different reason. So what's behind this stunning transformation? Stay tuned because you won't believe how far she's come. How Sophie Cunningham rewrote her own playbook. Sophie Cunningham never waited for permission. She walked onto every court like she owned it, whether it was a packed gym in Columbia, Missouri, or a roaring arena filled with WNBA fans. Long before the league, long before the spotlight found her, Sophie was building something deeper than just a resume. At Rockbridge High School, she didn't just break records, she shattered expectations. 4 straight state championships weren't a streak. They were a statement. And by the time she wrapped up her high school career with nearly 2,000 points and a McDonald's All-American honor, it was clear. Sophie didn't play the game, she lived it. But where others might have coasted on early glory, Sophie only picked up speed. At the University of Missouri, she transformed into a scoring machine and relentless leader, starting all 129 games across 4 seasons. Her energy was magnetic, her style unshakably aggressive, never afraid to drive into traffic, take the hit, and rise without complaint. The numbers piled up, over 2,100 points, sky-high shooting percentages, and national recognition. But it was her attitude that kept drawing eyes. She didn't flinch. She fought. That same edge followed her into the WNBA in 2019 when Phoenix selected her 13th overall, the highest draft pick in Mizzou history. But rookie seasons aren't made for fairy tales, and Sophie knew that. She earned every minute she played by outworking everyone around her, diving for loose balls, trading elbows under the rim, shooting with confidence even on cold nights. But after 6 gritty seasons with the Mercury, something unexpected crept in: comfort. And for someone built on fire, comfort was a quiet threat. So when the 2025 trade came calling, sending her to Indiana in a 4-team deal, Sophie didn't hesitate. This wasn't just a new jersey, it was a challenge, a reset. The Fever were buzzing with fresh energy, headlined by Caitlin Clark's generational star power and Aaliyah Boston's commanding presence in the paint. The system was faster, looser, and ruthlessly competitive. Exactly the spark Sophie needed. Gone were the corner catch-and-shoot roles. In Indiana, every possession demanded movement, communication, and defensive tenacity. For Sophie, it was oxygen. Training camp revealed her hunger instantly. She didn't just show up, she dominated every drill like her career depended on it. Coaches praised her versatility. Teammates respected her hustle. Whether she was switching onto quicker guards, chasing down rebounds, or pulling up from deep in transition, she played with an edge that couldn't be faked. But the real shift wasn't in her shooting form or footwork. It was in her mindset. Sophie had stopped playing safe. She wasn't there to fill space. She came to lead, to speed things up, to show everyone what grit really meant. By the time the season picked up steam, she wasn't just adjusting, she was setting the tone. Leaving Phoenix wasn't easy, but Indiana offered more than a fresh start. It gave her the chance to become something sharper, tougher, and more relentless. And as the Fever's rhythm began to shift, Sophie Cunningham wasn't just fitting in, she was starting to change the entire beat. So, what happens when a bench player grabs the wheel and refuses to let go? Stay with us. This story's just getting started. Sophie Cunningham, the spark that set Indiana on fire. From the very beginning, it was clear Sophie hadn't come to the Fever to quietly fit in. She came to shake things up. If Caitlin Clark was the face of Indiana's bold new era, Sophie was its backbone, its muscle, its heartbeat. She wasn't the highest scorer, nor the flashiest name on the roster, But game after game, she proved herself indispensable, not with stat lines, but with grit and fearlessness that turned heads and raised eyebrows. It all came to a boil on June 17th, 2025. A heated matchup against Connecticut saw Clark poked in the eye during a tangle under the rim. Before most fans could process what had happened, Sophie had already crossed the court and shoved J.C. Sheldon to the floor in one swift, unapologetic motion. The whistle blew. The crowd erupted. The internet split. The refs saw a flagrant. Sophie saw justice. And for thousands of fans watching from home, it was the moment Sophie Cunningham officially became Clark's protector. But while many zeroed in on that single act of defiance, few noticed what it revealed. Sophie wasn't just defending a teammate, she was guarding a culture. She made it clear that no one touched her squad without answering for it. And though her averages, 5.3 points, 4 rebounds, 1.6 steals, didn't scream superstar, the impact she brought went far beyond the box score. Her presence altered the tempo of every game. Her voice in the locker room carried weight. Her hustle made others hustle harder. Even more impressive was how she embraced her role off the bench. Most players shrink in that transition. Sophie expanded. The moment she checked in, the game shifted. Suddenly, there was energy where there had been fatigue, fire where there had been hesitation. She wasn't there to kill time. She was there to change it. From deep three-pointers to clutch drives through traffic, she gave Indiana exactly what they needed, exactly when they needed it. What set Sophie Cunningham apart wasn't just the skill, it was the instinct. She had a feel for the moment, knowing exactly when to shift gears. Whether it was snapping the momentum with a gritty stop, or reigniting a flat offense with a fearless and one, Sophie didn't just play the game, she read it. Her style wasn't about dominance, it was about elevation. She lifted Indiana when they sagged, reignited their rhythm when others were running on fumes. Coaches praised her tenacity. Teammates leaned into her edge. And while fans may have called her a sixth player, what she became was something deeper. Indiana's emotional engine. Not the franchise's face, but its fire. And as the season wore on, something shifted. The talk wasn't just about her toughness anymore. It was about her value. Some players open the game with spark. Others finish it like it's personal. Sophie Cunningham? She did both. And when the pressure spiked, it wasn't her stat line that grabbed the spotlight. It was her voice. Steady, raw, unfiltered. A voice that cut through the noise and rallied a team when it mattered most. But what sparked this transformation? And what does it mean for Indiana's future? Stick around. You won't want to miss what comes next. The spark Sophie set off. Every time Sophie Cunningham speaks, the temperature in the room shifts. There's no filter, no polished script, just straight-up truth delivered with the same intensity she brings to every possession. She doesn't dance around issues, and when the Indiana Fever's season began to feel like a dizzying ride of highs and frustrating lows, Sophie did what most players avoid. She named it out loud. After a bitter loss that left fans shaking their heads, Cunningham stepped to the mic and dropped all pretenses. "We have good spurts," she admitted. "But why are we not being consistent?" Her voice wasn't cracking from pressure, it was sparking it. She didn't offer excuses. She issued a wake-up call, challenging her team to rise above the roller coaster performances that had defined their early season. Some players shy away from tension. Sophie turns it into fuel. It was more than a post-game soundbite. It was a challenge tossed into the locker room, the front office, and the stands. And when she said, "We owe the fans," you believed it, because she did too. The Fever had just delivered a head-scratching performance where they shot a dismal 30% from the field, and Sophie wasn't afraid to call it what it was: unacceptable. "We're never going to shoot 30% again, I hope," she said with a smirk that held more warning than optimism. She knew this team had firepower. Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, no more excuses. It was time to put the pieces together. But Cunningham isn't just a talker. When Clark was sidelined in the preseason opener, Sophie answered the call without hesitation. In the closing seconds, she calmly nailed the free throws that forced overtime and helped seal a gutsy 79-74 win. It wasn't flashy, it was fierce. The kind of play that turns respect into trust. Her teammate, Kelsey Mitchell, didn't mince words. She's a dog. And her coach, Stephanie White, echoed it. She brings toughness and versatility. She's the kind of player you win with. Still, that fiery attitude didn't fade when the final buzzer sounded. Sophie kept raising the bar for herself and everyone around her. After a dominant night against Atlanta, 16 points and 10 rebounds, her first double-double of the season, she shrugged it off with a smile and a jab. It's about dang time. Even her humor comes wrapped in expectation. She pushes herself like she pushes her teammates, with urgency. When she first landed in Indiana after a major 4-team trade, she wasn't just excited. She was convinced. "Heck yeah, we're about to go win a championship," she said. It wasn't bluster, it was belief. Cunningham saw potential. A new core, a rising star in Clark, a reloaded roster with veterans like Kelsey Mitchell and Erica Wheeler. But belief alone wasn't enough. It needed action, accountability, edge. And Sophie brought all three. She became more than just a sixth player, more than a protector, more than hustle in the box score. She became the voice that speaks when others hesitate, the spark that ignites when the locker room goes quiet, the anchor who shows up when the team's back is against the wall. When she said the Fever needed to be better for the fans, she didn't whisper it. She declared it. When she called out inconsistency, it wasn't venting. It was motion leadership. The moment Sophie became the emotional center. It was only a matter of time before Sophie Cunningham's voice stopped being background noise and became the main headline. And when she finally said, "No more motion offense," on live television, it didn't just rattle the locker room. It sent the entire WNBA world into a tailspin. She didn't scream. She didn't raise her voice. But what she said was loud enough to shake the foundation of a team that had, until then, been coasting on autopilot. In one blunt sentence, Sophie said what fans, players, and even coaches had been quietly thinking for weeks. Something had to give. The offense looked stuck, the energy felt forced, and the results weren't matching the hype surrounding this Indiana Fever roster. But Sophie didn't sugarcoat it. She cracked it wide open for the world to see. Within hours of the clip hitting the airwaves, Caitlin Clark, rookie phenom and media magnet, made her stance clear. She reposted the video with 4 simple words, 100% with you. And that was all it took. In a league where rookies rarely speak up and veterans often toe the company line, Caitlin's quiet nod lit a fuse. Suddenly, this wasn't just Sophie's voice echoing through a post-game presser. It was a rallying cry. Kelsey Mitchell, a respected voice in the Fever's core, was caught chuckling during the interview. Later, she told reporters, "That's the tone we need. Truth in real time." And she meant it. This wasn't seen as drama. It was honesty. Something raw, something real. Teammates didn't flinch. If anything, they exhaled. Someone had finally said out loud what had been simmering beneath the surface for too long. Sydney Colson brought levity into the moment, posting a meme of Sophie holding a mic with the caption, "When the truth gets too real for morning coffee." It was playful, but it wasn't mockery. It was respect. Online, the fans exploded. X, formerly Twitter, lit up with praise. "She said what we've all been screaming at our TVs," one fan wrote. Another posted, "Finally, someone isn't afraid to shake the room." Reddit threads flooded with takes calling her a true leader, not just another rotation player. And just like that, the Fever became the most talked about team in the league. Not for their wins, but for their willingness to break the silence. Media outlets swarmed in. Yahoo Sports dubbed it a tactical mic drop. ESPN began speculating about possible rifts between players and the coaching staff. Debate shows ran heated panels. Some called Sophie reckless, others praised her courage. Was this a risky shot across the bow or the first real sign of a leadership shift? Either way, the conversation had changed, and Sophie was now the center of it. Other players around the league started chiming in. Some respected her boldness, others warned it could backfire, but nobody ignored it. For a team barely skimming headlines days earlier, Sophie's moment flipped the script. Fans who had checked out were suddenly tuning in. National shows gave the fever airtime. Social media turned her quote into a movement. Without a formal title, Sophie Cunningham began evolving into more than just a strong presence off the bench. She became the emotional core, the unspoken standard, the lightning rod who disrupted comfort in the name of accountability. And as whispers of new energy filled the locker room, Sophie wasn't just sparking the fire, she was becoming the flame. The fever's hidden flame. From the outside, her move to Indiana seemed routine. A veteran shooter with a reputation for grit joining a young, hyped-up team headlined by Caitlin Clark. But inside the walls of the Fever's training facility, it didn't take long to realize Sophie had arrived with more than just a jumper. She brought edge, leadership, and the kind of fire that can't be coached. It showed in the small moments first, diving for loose balls, contesting boards she had no business reaching, refusing to let the energy dip even when the scoreboard said otherwise. After a clutch performance against Atlanta, where she dropped 16 points and hauled in 10 rebounds, she was asked what flipped the switch. Her answer was simple. I bring the energy. I bring the feistiness. I'm a little bit sassy. That sass, it turned out, was exactly what the Fever had been missing. She didn't just show up in stat sheets, she showed up in spirit. When Clark took a shot to the face during a heated June game against Connecticut, Sophie didn't hesitate. She stormed across the court and shoved the opposing player to the floor. A flagrant foul, an ejection, but also a message. She wasn't just defending a teammate, she was protecting the culture they were building. That moment, though controversial, made something crystal clear. Sophie wasn't afraid to get her hands dirty if it meant sending a message. And when things got tense mid-season, with key injuries, mounting pressure, and media scrutiny, Sophie became the voice everyone looked to. We're circled on everybody's schedule, she told reporters after a frustrating loss to LA. Nobody likes us. All we've got is each other. It wasn't just a quote. It was a challenge, a line drawn in the sand. For a team still trying to shape its identity, Sophie wasn't just talking, she was leading. Behind the scenes, her transition from Phoenix to Indiana wasn't without its own lessons. She admitted she'd grown too comfortable with the Mercury. In Indiana, though, she leaned into discomfort. She welcomed the responsibility. She embraced the city, the fans, the team's grinded-out ethos. And she made it known. Everything she once learned from Diana Taurasi, she now wanted to pass down to Caitlin and the next generation of Fever talent. That mindset wasn't lost on the front office either. General Manager Lynn Dunn called her a fierce competitor and praised how seamlessly she fit into the team's evolving chemistry. Coach Stephanie White trusted her voice on the floor. And the locker room? It followed her lead. Sydney Colson summed it up best. She makes the hard work feel lighter, and that matters. Teammates echoed the same sentiment online, calling her a keeper and the team's heartbeat. On game days, she wasn't just warming up, she was leading warm-ups, calling out switches, pulling rookies aside during breaks, reminding everyone, we're not here to watch, we're here to win. When the pressure rose, her hustle never dipped. It wasn't flashy, just constant, relentless, infectious. Off the court, she matched Indiana's energy. After a blowout win, she joked that the fans were sassy like me, and the crowd loved it. That Midwestern grit? She wore it like a badge. Over time, Sophie became more than a role player. She became the voice of the team's fight, The one players leaned on, the one who never flinched, the one who kept the locker room wired, focused, and real. And just when you thought Indiana had peaked, could Sophie Cunningham be the final spark to redefine it all? Stay tuned. Sophie Cunningham's second act. Though long respected for her grit and game sense, what Cunningham has evolved into is something far more compelling, a player who refuses to be boxed in. She arrived in Indiana in early 2025 through a four-team trade that caught many off guard but made immediate sense in hindsight. For the Fever, it wasn't just about adding another shooter, it was about injecting fire into their bloodstream. Sophie wasn't merely traded in, she was summoned to be the sole spark, and she's delivered. On the court, her role has never been neater, but it's never been more essential. Sophie now plays every inch from the perimeter to the paint, guarding four positions, diving for loose balls, and knocking down clutch threes with a rhythm that feels almost instinctual. Her performance in a tense early season battle against Atlanta, posting 16 points, 10 rebounds, 4 triples, and a block, did more than fill a stat sheet. It cemented her as Indiana's chaos queen in the best way possible. Cunningham didn't just hustle, she roared. "I bring the energy, I bring the feistiness. I'm a little bit sassy," she told reporters that night, and no one's questioned it since. But what made Sophie's arrival electric wasn't just her on-court resume, it was the transformation she revealed off it. No longer the player just known for corner threes and physical fouls, she began reintroducing herself. Gone was the college kid living off Taco Bell and muscle memory. In her place stood an athlete sculpted by nutritional discipline, fashion daring, and a refreshing transparency that blurred the line between fierce competitor and fan favorite. In one viral fashion moment from August 2024, she strutted into a game in a color block mini dress with tan lines and unapologetic confidence. That outfit, picked by her mother Paula, didn't just trend, it branded her. Cunningham's wardrobe became a statement of mood, not market trends. Some days it's soft cowgirl, others bold streetwear layered over sports bras. And while social media often floods with curated perfection, Sophie's feed tells a different story. Clumsy dances with teammates, gym day vlogs, bikini beach shots, and genuine laughter mid-bloopers. Her nearly 150,000 Instagram followers aren't just scrolling, they're connected. Behind the glamour, though, the training never stops. Off-seasons are spent at her grandparents' 75-acre Primus farm, about 30 miles east of Columbia, Missouri. That's where Sophie resets. Mornings start before dawn with skill drills run by Fever trainer Keith Porter, sharp shooting, defensive footwork, conditioning so intense she jokes about seeing her deathbed. Then it's on to trail rides, creek fishing, or singing in barns. It's faith, family, and fresh air, her kind of balance. Even her car isn't flashy. No Lambos, no fleet of luxury imports. Sophie chooses vehicles that serve her, not the other way around. Reliable, spacious, and practical enough to haul gear, groceries, and gym bags. She's partnered with brands like GMC and Adidas, not as a celebrity billboard, but as a working athlete building a lifestyle rooted in purpose, not pretense. The same strategy applies to food. With Quest Nutrition's help, she's ditched the sugar-heavy meals of her youth for protein-packed performance fuel, sneaking in muffins and brownies that taste like indulgence, but train like science. Yet her most defining moment came in June 2025, when during a heated game against the Connecticut Sun, she responded to a shove on teammate Caitlin Clark with a swift takedown of JCS Sheldon. The crowd gasped. Social media exploded. Cunningham was ejected and fined. But what the world saw was something greater, the enforcer protecting her team. Her jersey instantly became Indiana's top seller. Fans praised her loyalty. Critics called it excessive. Sophie? She stayed silent, let the tape roll, and let her actions speak. But that fire never burns recklessly. Whether attending Ronald McDonald House events or launching her Sophie Cunningham Classic to spotlight young Midwestern athletes. Her off-court commitments show a woman just as serious about giving back as she is about chasing rings. She doesn't flex wealth. She funds opportunity. She doesn't sell drama. She shares joy. And through it all, her bond with teammates, especially Caitlin Clark, has become something real and relatable. Not just tactical trust, but emotional camaraderie. Together, they swap jokes, coordinate outfits, and share pre-game prayers. This isn't just a new chapter for Sophie Cunningham. It's a full-blown renaissance. But what do you think Sophie Cunningham's transformation really signals? A fearless evolution or a risky distraction? We'd like to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.